Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the Republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians. Russian.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots. Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. As always, I'm joined by Chris Paul. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
I am just fantastic.
Man, I'm so happy to hear that. And surprised to hear that as well.
Really? Why would I not be fantastic, John?
That was more sarcastic because you say that every single Saturday.
Yeah, well, I try to mix it up.
Yeah, that's very true. We got two separate instances of 5 gifted subs from Counterinsurgent. So thank you for that. Weird week, I feel like. I don't know about you. News cycle's been interesting with the whole Minnesota stuff going on.
It seems
CIA,
like that's
Venezuela stuff.
It seems like the Minnesota thing is designed to suck up all the oxygen in the room while major geopolitical events are occurring and the world order is being rearranged and court decisions are coming down. The original Constitution is beginning to show its face again. There's all these incredibly important things going on, and everybody's got their focus totally locked in on a replay of 2020.
A colder version of it, but yes, it is definitely a replay. I heard they're not protesting tonight because it's too cold, which is hysterical if true.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly crossing the Delaware.
Not exactly, no. It's like 10 degrees where I'm at, probably colder. Woke up this morning and it felt like -7 or something. I wouldn't want to protest
17 degrees
that either.
difference between now and then.
Ooh, that's true. That's a decode that, guys.
Yep.
Red
Hit a
Pill
match.
78. Red Pill 78 wife's in the chat. Good to see you. I think we'll talk about I don't know if I really care to talk about the protesting stuff, but some of what Trump is doing and what the mainstream media is presenting Trump and what he potentially could do is more interesting, like the Insurrection Act. We get into that. The mainstream media generally in some of their chatter lately has been notably similar to some of the discussions we've been having, which I think is interesting. So we'll discuss that. We got Venezuela stuff, a whole bunch of AI clips. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get a quick word from our sponsors. Got a few of them off the bat. First up, we have Unshaken.
Some stories aren't meant to be summarized. They're meant to be felt. When the mind breaks and the body fails, and faith is the one thing left to reach for.
Through the frost, I saw him clearer than ever. I knew my story wasn't over. They called it bipolar disorder. I called it a betrayal of my own mind. But even then, grace found me. My body failed me, but God didn't. What should have been the end became the opportunity for an unshakable new beginning.
Yeah, Unshaken by Denise Pimental is a raw memoir about surviving bipolar disorder, gotta make that a little bigger, a near fatal stroke, and rebuilding life through faith in God when everything collapses at once. This is not motivational fluff. It is a real survival story, quiet, honest, and lived. You can find it now in print, ebook, and audiobook at glorifiedwriting.com. And I was corrected by my girlfriend. It was -29 degrees this morning when you accounted for wind chill. So
Wow. I mean, that makes -7 sound downright tropical.
yeah, shorts weather. One more sponsor here, and then we'll get to the rest of the sponsors a little bit later. And we're going to do our new beard oil promo.
I am a kung fu master. Why do you not respect me? You want to fight me? I will fight you to your death. Do you want to tame the mane that is your ugly beard? Do you want your beard to feel silky smooth? You want to make it illustrious, like my kung fu beard? Then you need self-disclosure, beard oil. softdisclosure.com. Promo code Badlands.
A soft disclosure on your beard. Many lady come to you.
Softdisclosure.com, guys. Last night we had a rowdy one in Onlylands. It was a pretty good time. And
That commercial's next level. Yeah.
Yeah. I spent most of my day doing that instead of like reading stories and whatnot.
Was that Brian doing the voices?
Yeah, we did it last night on Onlylands.
We
came up with the idea of Alpha mouthing and Brian doing the voiceover.
Perfect.
Yeah. Worked out pretty well.
Good job.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Let's start off with, I don't even know which one to start with. Maybe I think this might be one of the more interesting ones to me is this. Let me share my screen. And this is from Particle. They're like a news aggregator I use. I think they're pretty good. But this is the headline. Trump's year one power drive confronts legal and political limits. Sounds vaguely familiar to something I've heard before. I'm not sure who said it, though, but I feel like I've heard this many times over the last couple of years. No, that's from you. You've been like talking about this for a long ass time. Nearly 500 federal lawsuits and multiple adverse rulings have checked expansions of executive power, with Supreme Court poised to weigh emergency tariff authority. Gallup now records 36% approval and 60% disapproval for the president as broad tariffs push the effective rate above 18% and fueled affordability concerns ahead of the 2026 elections. Talking about border enforcement, federal workforce stiffening, and then security actions grew more forceful, including 29 attacks on suspected trafficking boats. The theme here, though, is Trump's first year was all about kind of testing the political boundaries of the branches of our government. And I figured you'd be the perfect person to bring this up to, since this has been your talking point for a while now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that has to happen. I have been viewing all of the court proceedings that we hear about in the news through this lens for like 4 years now. I always describe it this way. Like, we have to know where the lines on the field are, right? If we're going to go out and play a football game, the lines have to be painted on the field. We have to agree about what the rules are, and then we can go ahead and play the game. And when we do that, I have no doubt that we'll win. But we've always been kind of in this weird, I don't know how to describe it. It's like so, I mean, we've talked many times about how there's like the base layer of the system and then this abstraction layer on top of it. It would be like if I drew an intentionally false map of some territory where the mountains, I drew them as lakes, the lakes, I drew them as mountains. Everything was reversed. And you were trying to navigate that territory on the map. Well, you would always get it wrong. And if I wanted to help out, I could say, you know what? The map's a little off there. The reality's like this. Just pay attention to what you see, and the map will get back on track in like 2 miles down the road. You know, that's kind of the situation that we deal in now, where the system has set up all its own rules. They're the opposite of what we're told the rules are. And so we try to navigate that system. We run into roadblocks. Occasionally we work our way out, but the system takes they hold the power of operating on either layer, whichever one gives them the result that they want. And so it's really important to get those differences in as many places as they exist out into the public conversation, so that the public can actually understand the question and both sides of the argument, and then come down on one side or another. And we can see the Trump administration through, I think, what is spawned often by various psyops and info ops performances that we see out in the world. Well, those then translate into these legal disputes that often seem kind of friendly, and the court cases seem not quite real. And then we get the resolution of these issues. The lines are then painted on the field, and we know exactly how to approach the issues ahead.
I like that metaphor of the maps. Like, we're trying to navigate some territory, but the map we're using is a fake one. Mm-hmm. In that metaphor, then, because the way we see Trump operating, like, you know, we believe, or at least I believe, I don't want to speak for you, that he understands what's going on. Like he would have the real map to the territory we're operating in, but for whatever reason, everybody else on the boat has the wrong map, and they're insisting that we go according to this wrong map. And he's like allowing that to take place to a certain degree until we learn our lesson, or well, like when does he just show us the map? I mean, that's a very interesting metaphor, because when you understand that Trump is operating according to a different set of rules, a different playbook, knowing that he has all the information that he has, all the information in the world, he's got more information than anybody. It changes your perception of all the stories and how he operates within those stories.
Yeah, he has a different knowledge base as well. He simply knows things in ways that others don't know them. And whether it's that Trump has total mastery over these situations, or whether he has people around him who are kind of giving him the alternative viewpoint, it doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to credit Trump or take anything away from Trump by describing him in this way, but he does have a different knowledge base. He operates within a different knowledge base. And if you are, so the map and the territory again, right? So Trump has to operate on both of those levels, because if everyone is using the map and has no access to understanding the territory, well, then he has to relate to people on the basis of the map and not the territory, except when he's able to drag them out of that and say to them, here's what the actual territory is. And I think Trump's done a great job of doing exactly that. He consistently tells us how things are. And then a lot of the times, people who think that they're Trump's biggest supporters will be the ones to say, no, Trump, you don't know what you're talking about this time. It's just like how you always put all those terrible people around you. You always make these mistakes. We on Twitter have figured out what the real truth is. You don't have access to it. And if you just listen to us, we'll tell you where to go. And then you can tell your followers where to go, and then everything will be okay. And he's like, well, no, I'm just going to tell everybody what the true thing is. And if people actually listen to that and are able to discern truth on their own, well, then they're going to follow me in a different way than the people who are following me based on what I'm saying about the map. Okay. So he's operating on both levels at the same time. He's obviously a master communicator, regardless of anything else, and is able to operate successfully on both of those levels. And if we are listening to the proper thing, we can actually follow that properly on that reality prime base layer, instead of constantly referring to this abstraction that has been built up for us out of total bullshit on TV.
So in that metaphor, then, if he didn't operate within the map system and just like did, according to the territory, what would happen? Like, what if he just completely ignored the people on the boat with the maps and allowed the influencers to steer the ship?
I think that we've seen what would happen in 2020. Trump came out and told us that the whole thing was a hoax. He gave us every reason imaginable to not be afraid of the very deadly pandemic, to not put on masks, to not get vaccinated. And people went ahead and did it anyway. And by the way, if he tells you that the disease isn't deadly and can't kill you, that is telling you you don't need a vaccine. And people are sooner or later going to have to wrestle with that fact. Yes, he's made the cure to the very deadly pandemic available in that abstraction layer. And some people took it for real for whatever reason. That certainly wasn't Trump, but no one needed to. So the point is, if he gives everybody just the base layer reality and they're all accustomed only to the map and what that looks like, well, that's going to be very disorienting for people. And it will cause them it'll cause them to distrust him and the rest of what he's saying. And so if you're going to do that, everybody's going to check out the people who have the map, control the media, control the incentive structure, are the gatekeepers to power. They're gonna make their story work, and people are gonna believe it. And that's how our lives have been led up till 2015 or 2016.
So then so our role again in the metaphor, I'm absolutely loving this metaphor. You should do an article on this metaphor alone.
Right.
According to the metaphor, our role then is to, once we understand that the map is wrong, do we get on a lifeboat and just start going our own way without the rest of the ship?
Well, how I've described some of this in like the book I'm writing. how do we get out of that? Is that the question? Sorry, I kind of just
like
lost
once you recognize that the map is not reality, right?
Yeah.
And you're being led astray, is that when you get on the lifeboat and just like, okay, we're just going to go where we know this is going anyway, not according to the map, and wait for them to catch up, or can we not get too far from the ship? Like what's
well,
the
I
case?
mean, everybody's got to choose that for themselves. And if you go too far, you go far enough, I guess is a better way of saying it, down the path, you just get back to the fact that all of these worldly facts are contingent on, and I talked with General Quast about this a little bit the other day, they're contingent on our understanding of reality being correct. And if it turns out that our understanding of reality is not correct, well, then all of these contingent facts just vanish from the world. And so we really have to be grounded in something more foundational than that. As for the not having the map part, I describe it in the book as like just being dropped into the wilderness, right? You don't know where you are. You don't know which direction is which. Maybe you have some survival skills. Maybe you have some tools that can help you on your way. But sooner or later, it is going to be your responsibility, and your survival will be based on your ability to figure out where to go and how to survive on your own. Like there's not just going to be something there to help you. And we've had this illusion throughout our lives that the map set up for us by the same people who run the system, run the currency, run the media, run the rest of it, that their map was going to be sufficient like to guide us in the way we live our lives. And that is crazy.
That is crazy. I'm obsessed with the metaphor. That's going to haunt me, just like ghosts turning down the volume thing haunted me for this last week. You should pull up that Miles Taylor clip. I think this would be a good time to watch that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to skip forward in this clip just a little bit because I don't think it's right at the beginning. But
I mean, the whole clip would probably be fine. Isn't it only like a minute and a half or something?
The whole clip's only a minute and a half. Yeah, it's just just the first segment of it, if I recall, is on a different subject. But the Miles Taylor thing will work right back in. Hold on, I can just scroll this. Oh no.
We heard all these reports in 2020 how he wanted to have the protesters be confronted by soldiers, how he got rid of Mark Esper because Mark Esper wouldn't invoke the Insurrection Act. All of that is leading to this moment where he's very eager to move forward.
This was foreseeable, but it doesn't mean that we're helpless at this point. I mean, there are ways to discourage or keep the president from invoking the Insurrection Act, which I think he will do. And I'll tell you quickly why I think he will do it. I had a conversation with Stephen Miller about this at the end of my time in the first term on the second floor of the West Wing of the White House, where he basically intimated that they would try to do things like this as fast as humanly possible to run them up to the Supreme Court so they would know what the boundaries of the Supreme Court's tolerance for executive power would be. And so if Donald Trump is going to do it, if he's going to invoke the Insurrection Act, that's this year. It's going to happen in 2026 if it's going to happen at all. And that's why I think they're trending towards it. And you saw Stephen Miller in the past couple of days frequently referencing the term insurrectionist.
Yeah.
They're laying,
not an accident.
It's not an accident. They're laying the legal pretext. So I think it will happen. But the reason I'm not surprised, he's been forecasting it.
And I think President Trump's getting very close to a Kent State moment, which if you go back to May of 1970, and this was the Ohio National Guard that ended up shooting 4 protesters and killing them at Kent State during the Vietnam protests. But it was one of the things that led to Richard Nixon's deteriorating popularity and his exit from office. So I think that we're getting closer to one of those. If this is not that moment, we're moving in that direction where this is going to ultimately redound to hurt the president. And the claims that he's making about the violence on the part of protesters is actually twisted and turned entirely.
I mean, it's damn interesting. And I'm curious what you think, because the Insurrection Act has been a hot topic since even as far back as 2020, the summer of love. And some people have even speculated that he's maybe already used it. Now, I don't think he has. I think he had the option available to him. Totally possible he has, and we don't know about it. There's so many things that could have happened that we don't know about. But I've been of the mindset that while he could use the Insurrection Act, I don't think he necessarily needs to. I also don't think he wants to because of the potential media backlash. Like as long as we don't have legitimate elections, and as long as the mainstream media is still being like kept alive, whether that's on life support or not, they can still fabricate enough consensus to steal elections, and they can use something like the Insurrection Act was being used, and that was not something that he's a dictator because of it. All these things.
Yep.
I feel like they could use that as a weapon against him. Now, whether or not he cares, I don't know, but I think it's a legitimate concern. He must have, considering he's still operating in this battle space and he hasn't used it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think all that's exactly right. Is he going to do it this year? I kind of think no. And it seems like all the chatter about it right now is to make that a key focus of whatever's happening in Minnesota. And then whatever happens in Minnesota will be handled legally, and we'll get the next step in the court's decision process of really assessing the Insurrection Act in all of its different aspects. The next step in that from the case that we went through a few weeks ago on this show. So that's how I would see it progressing this year. As far as like, did he use it before? I could imagine that maybe he used it back in 2020. He said the real insurrection was the election of November 3rd, 2020. If he did use it back then, well, now he's gaining the public permission structure and mandate to have used it back then, with all the legal conversations settled before that announcement would ever come out, right? So if he does something back then that the country would not be prepared for or would not understand legally, and the messaging operation wouldn't be able to properly support it so that the people could, well, you now bought yourself 5 or 6 years on the explanation of that. It's getting explained piece by piece over time as the courts are affirming the right way to view that in terms of the original Constitution. And then, if that's how it went, this is hypothetical, obviously, then at that point, you would think that they could move forward on that.
Q-Alerts is in the chat, and he has an interesting comment here. He says he would want to use the Insurrection Act if he can also piggyback some other higher level ops and use it as cover. Now, I like that because it is something that he's been known to do. But this term, this year, he more so hijacks the narrative and steers it another direction. You know what I mean? Like you've talked about that so many times, how even the Maduro thing, this regime change, everybody wanted him to do the regime change. And so he did it, but he didn't do it the way they wanted. And I feel like it's almost similar with the Insurrection Act. Our side wants him to do it. The other side, they almost want him to do it so they can use it against him. I feel like if he does something Insurrection Act-y, he'll do it, but he'll do it in a different way that pisses off everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know what that looks like.
I don't know what it looks like either. There's one more interesting point there, I think. And this is in if you want to say anything more about the Insurrection Act, by all means. I was just going to say about that last part of that clip where I don't know who that was, but he mentioned Kent State type incident, and that being one of the things that really took Richard Nixon down a peg and allowed him to be removed. Well, if that sort of thing happens, how's that getting set up? Well, that would be set up by these what's happening in Minnesota, that we know on one side is funded and directed globalist color revolution operation of the kind we've seen all over the place. And on the other side, what we have are citizen journalists from Twitter and all of the internet TV shows that we've seen for the last 5 years, always Johnny on the spot for every single event that ever occurs, just like they were in 2020. And we've seen proactive violence from the masked and shielded officers that we're told are ICE. And in the story structure, they are ICE. Are they all ICE? Are any of them agitators playing the opposite side from the color revolutionists that we see? Did that same thing happen on January 6th? Because I think that there are some people who have done compilations of crowd videos from January 6th that suggest there might have been participants in people disguised as police officers, in people disguised as MAGA, and then obviously in counter movements as well. So, these are the sorts of things that people get really upset about, for considering that they might be fake in some of their aspects. But they're things you have to consider if you don't want to get hoodwinked. Why did we get hoodwinked in 2020 with the very violent insurrection? Okay. Why did that affect so many people's lives? Why is that situation still unresolved? Well, because everybody saw the same clips playing over and over on television all day long, and then things spiraled out of control and the story was already lost. So, I'm sick of losing stories and narratives like that because it's so easy to hoodwink us whenever our side seems like the good guys in the viral videos.
I still don't get how people don't see that too. Because there's so many people who like call themselves truthers and InfoWars and all these things, and they're like so tuned in, but they're constantly getting hoodwinked too. They're right there. And maybe that's something we can get into a little bit later, but unless you have a really good response, which I'm sure you do.
How are people still getting hoodwinked?
Yeah, how I just, the fact that it hasn't happened yet makes me wonder if it ever will, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is our opportunity here. The psyops are aplenty. We're on the cusp of so many different things if we just reach out there and get there. But so many people are just cheerleading along with the narratives, and it just makes you wonder.
Well, yeah, I would say that that's it. While we have the people who say that they're committed to truth, defending powerful strangers on the internet, while they lie to us, to our friends, to our loved ones, to our coworkers, to the rest of the country, it's going to be real hard to move forward from there. The idea that all of this is still about waking up the normies for the 10th year in a row seems to be pretty ridiculous at this point. So, I mean, if we're going to excuse the mainstream media while they lie to everybody and run psyops all day long, I would expect that we're probably going to be stuck here forever.
Probably. One thing I do want to point out real quick before we move on to the next topic is all the Insurrection Act stuff. And anytime we get, discussions about it, it makes me think of the Schiff Amendment that he tried to put forth back in 2022, where any information collected during the normal course of military training or operations, if it was done in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, could not be used in any form of legal proceedings, such as, where's it at? Basically, like any grand jury stuff, any case at all, any trial. Where's it at? Oh, yeah, right here. Any proceeding in or before any court, grand jury, department, officer, agency, regulatory body, legislative committee, or other authority of the United States. This didn't get included, but the fact that he even tried is what's interesting and notable. It's something he was concerned about. So just wanted to let you all know what was on my mind whenever I hear the insurrection stuff. So there's that. Do you want to talk? We could talk Greenland a little bit. Senate's being real gay about it. They're allegedly threatening to use congressional tools to block Trump's Greenland grab. Makes you wonder what the F these people are doing.
Yeah, I don't. That one is a mystery to me. It doesn't seem like we're going to need the military to get Greenland. It seems like all of that is a done deal and we're just seeing a show. The idea that the European countries are sending soldiers there, but the number of soldiers they're all sending is collectively like less than 20. I don't understand what that is. I mean, they're ostensibly sending them to Greenland to defend Greenland on behalf of Denmark against the United States. So I don't know what to make of that.
I don't either. It makes no sense. I mean, I think it'd be hysterical if we were in like a declared war because we violated Article 5 or whatever with NATO. That'd be hysterical. Like if we went to war with NATO over Greenland, do you think like China and Russia would come be our allies in that fight?
I don't think that we would need them.
No.
But yes, I do.
Just symbolically to have him like have North Korea and China and all like the worst dictators send their militaries to support the United States efforts against NATO.
I saw an interesting map today that I didn't spend much time with. Unfortunately, I got involved in other things. I wonder if Ghost saw it, but there was, I got to find this, a really interesting map of kind of the North Pole region and the trade routes used by Russia and China, the shipping routes. Let me see
if I can find it too.
I don't know how I lost this today.
Was it?
Damn it! I
Could
thought
it be
it was
this?
in the Midnight Rider channel. Well, that looks like another kind of rendition of the same thing, but it's not specifically that.
Was it this?
No, but that kind of looks interesting.
I'll keep showing you options until we find the right
It
one.
might have been. Jeez, they got all sorts of them here. No, I'll find it. Give me a second.
Take your time. I'll just keep showing you. How big was the map? What color was the map?
It looks like those ones with just some simple lines across it. I don't know. I don't know if this is worth it now. So hyped up. Oh, here it is. Thank goodness. I don't want to build such suspense about maps.
Just kind of enjoying the tease. Are you going to put it on your screen? Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So there we have it. Greenland is. What can you see? My
cannot see your mouse, but Greenland is. Everybody on the screen, if you can see the words that says Greenland, that's Greenland. Okay, so
it seems like they're basically already operating up there, and of course they are, and Trump tells us they are all the time. I can imagine that the reason the Greenland thing is so upsetting for the Europeans is that their access to these trade routes will be diminished somehow, or their control over access will be diminished. That's what it's always seemed like to me.
So China's trying to create the Arctic Silk Road.
Go from one side of the world to the other through the north, rather than across the land or the southern waterways.
Like how long till they just bore out tunnels underneath, like Elon Musk said they were going to do last year?
Yeah, well, a lot of people think those tunnels are already there.
Yeah. I don't buy that one. I mean, I know everybody talks about it, and I know there's underground stuff, but like, you think we get one picture or video of a tunnel, like, or a massive underground, railway system or something?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
Like,
all so weird now. I'm open to possibilities I would have never been open to prior.
I get that too. It's like one of those things where somebody would show me and be like, "Oh yeah, it makes total sense. Of course it exists." But until I see like one non-AI video, it's going to be hard to believe it is. But last year there was a discussion where Elon Musk said he could bore out a tunnel from New York to I think Paris for like $15 billion. It's like, dude, you don't need to wait for permission or approval from a country to just fucking do that if you can do it that cheap. So he probably already has.
Yeah, some guy, someone sent me a video of, I guess this guy is like a popular UFO guy or something, but he says that some great spacecraft like crash landed in Greenland and has been buried under the ice for so many years, and that all the ice is melting away. And so that spacecraft is coming back. And then, I don't know, we're going to be ruled by our alien overlords.
Yeah, that's the plot to that Chris Pratt TV show on Amazon or movie, The Tomorrow War.
Come on. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, you've not seen the movie?
I think that I watched like the first hour of it and then stopped. Is that where everybody like gets recruited into the military?
Of the future, yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a future war. Future them come back because there was an alien spaceship that landed and climate change caused stuff to melt down enough for the spaceship that was in the ice thawed out, and all these aliens got out and multiplied and killed everybody. And then the only way to beat them was to go find the spaceship in the past. Spoiler alert. Maybe I should say it. And get through the ice and kill them in the ice while they're down there before the climate change killed everybody. So sorry for the spoiler alert. But okay, yeah, there's that. Is there anything you want to talk about with Venezuela? I mean, I guess we did have what's her name come to the White House this week. I'm sure you have plenty to say on that. And people have been picking up on I should say your Hakuna Matata label. It's nice to see.
Maybe one day it'll be as successful as Una Panuna Banca.
Yeah, once Greg Gutfeld steals it, then we'll know we've made it.
Yes.
This week.
It looked like a humiliation ritual. No one was there to meet her. No one was there to see her out. Trump did he meet with her? There's that picture of him holding that's the extent of it. And then she goes outside and tells some emotional story about the importance of Venezuela exchanging awards with the United States. It was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. She is a Venezuelan Kamala Harris. You can see it in the way she talks, the way she carries herself, the way she dresses. These are like character cutouts, and they have them all over the world.
I can't even find that picture right now. Did I not scroll back far enough? How many days ago was that?
I think it was 2 days ago. I think it was Thursday.
I don't think it's on his Truth Social anymore.
On Trump's Truth? Did he ever post that?
Oh, maybe he didn't. I'd be surprised if he didn't, though. He posts like everything.
I thought he posted just a short comment about his meeting with her.
Maybe. But here's the picture. The White House posted it. Trump meets with Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela in the Oval Office, during which she presented the president with her Nobel Peace Prize in recognition and honor. And to be clear, this is against Nobel Peace Prize policy, so this does not count as a legal transfer of the prize. Yeah, there's the picture. He did have a call with Delcy. What day? Okay, what day was this? This was the 15th. Well, the day before, I think. This morning, I had a very good call with interim president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez. We are making tremendous progress as we help Venezuela stabilize and recover. Many topics were discussed, including oil, minerals, trade, and, of course, national security. This a partnership between the United States of America and Venezuela, will be spectacular for all. Venezuela will soon be great and prosperous again, perhaps more so than ever before.
Yes. Okay. So day before.
Yeah. We have an AutoPen Truth post. Did you see that tonight?
I love it. It's amazing. Yeah.
This was this was earlier today, 2:00 this afternoon. Everyone is asking about the AutoPen. What was done is totally illegal, and anything signed that way is of no further force or effect. The person who worked the AutoPen had no idea whether or not Biden approved of what he was doing. There was no order in writing, and it was an absolutely illegal act perpetrated by the radical left insurrectionists who illegally ran the Biden administration. Every one of them should be arrested for what they have done to our country. They didn't win the presidency, but when you think of it, neither did Joe Biden. The whole thing was rigged. There must be a price to pay, and it has to be a big one. President Donald J. Trump. And I could not agree more. When will we see that price paid?
It's a good question. It's like he's saying that Joe Biden was never president.
It is like he's saying that. Oh, and then we have that picture of them trolling too. Do you remember that? With the 45, 46, 47, 48.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pull that up too.
Yeah, I could see a fourth Trump term coming up.
Yeah, it is silly to me sometimes how often Trump will remind everybody that, hey, the election was stolen. I hope somebody does something about that, as if he's not like the guy who can do something about that. But
well, again, what's going to happen if people don't actually contend with this situation as it is, Like if they're not willing to understand the state of our government, our nation, who we are as a people, I mean, what is he supposed to do?
Excuse me. But yeah, here's the post 45, 46, 47, 48 up in the right-hand corner. Pretty good troll, but he bringing whole milk back. It's good stuff.
Homelander, I don't know what that is.
What's that?
Do you see the GIF on the right of the screen? That's Homelander from The Boys.
Oh, shit.
Doing something weird with milk.
Israel, I'll take that off the screen. We have another sponsor we got to get to real quick. Actually, two of them, I think, if our Rumble Studio one's working. I want to do that now before I forget. So let's first get a quick word from Rumble Wallet. Glasses on here quick. They can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you, they control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middleman, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. Thank you, Rumble Wallet and Rumble Studio. And last up, we got Lean. Let's talk about some examples of fad diets over the years. Juice cleanses, cabbage soup diet, raw food diet. Another fact, by the time the average person hits 60, they've lost and regained several hundred pounds. And also, you had no idea how much damage gaining and losing weight could do to you. Doctors call it weight cycling. Half of Americans do it. It's when you lose 10 or so pounds, but then you put the pounds back on, plus a couple more. It's so tough on your body, and it probably leaves you feeling frustrated. Bottom line, most people need help losing weight, and here's a great way to do it. Non-prescription Lean was created by doctors. Lean is an oral supplement, not an injection, and the science is really impressive. The studied ingredients also target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. It helps you maintain healthy blood sugar, helps you control appetite and cravings, and helps burn fat by converting it into energy, and burning fat helps keep the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add Lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter DPH at takelean.com. That's code DPH at takelean.com. All right. Ramble on 365 says, just cut sugar. It's poison. Spot on. Oh, there's another comment I saw earlier I wanted to read, but this chat is flying and I already lost it. So last story I wanted to talk about Venezuela anyway is this one. And while I think this happened the same day that Marina Cachuto was at the White House, Ratcliffe went down to Venezuela and met with Delcy Rodriguez. They had a 2-hour meeting. It was held at the direction of President Trump, focused on intelligence cooperation, economic stability, and the goal of ensuring that Venezuela is no longer a safe haven for America's adversaries, especially narco traffickers, the official said. And another competing narrative we didn't even talk about, in junction with the Venezuela stuff, is the Iran thing going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Or did we talk about that on Wednesday? I don't even remember. I don't think we did. No,
I think maybe you definitely mentioned it.
Yeah, we did. I take that back. But anyway, it's interesting to me that anytime Ratcliffe's names come up, it's interesting. He's a Devo guy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Him being approved for like covert ops down in Venezuela, like 3 months before any of this popped off, was interesting. What the CIA represents in terms of who they are to the deep state and the globalists, I think is interesting. And now he's down there meeting with Delcy, and I just think it's interesting. Are they cleaning out the corruption? Like, what are they really doing?
Yeah, and I mean, the whole Cartel de las Soles, that was CIA creation back in the 90s, or at least that's, what the story says, with the generals in the military in Venezuela. And that was the operation that was supposedly getting shut down. So the CIA clearly has a long storied history. And I think that Joe Lang has done some great work on the South American, Central America when it comes to that stuff. And I would highly recommend that to everybody. But yeah, they have a long history there. So I agree. What are the stories? I think when I see stuff like this, what are these headlines going to look like in 10 years and 20 years and 50 years? And when people like us, for instance, go back and look through the history of this era, what are we going to say? And are we going to think, oh, the CIA, terrible. The CIA director is down there meeting with this Delcy Rodriguez character. Look how corrupt all that is. It's so strange the way it goes back and forth.
Yeah, really is strange. There's 2 stories I had out of order here. I should have talked about this with Trump's True Social post. but this was another big topic this week. So the Truth Social post again, here he talks about how our elections are rigged, right? The whole thing was rigged, must be price to play, all that stuff. And then there was talk about the midterm losses would mean his impeachment this week. So he talks about rigged elections, and then he says if we lose the midterms, it could mean that he gets impeached. And then on top of that, he made another comment about how we should cancel the midterm elections altogether. They insist it was a joke, but I don't know, man. Like we've been, this has been seeded out there into the zeitgeist, the thought of canceling elections for a while now. They did it in Ukraine. They canceled elections in Ukraine, which maybe that's a template. Who knows? But I think this would be hilarious. Like if you want to test the constitutional powers, which both the left says he's doing and we think he's doing, this would be a great way to see what those boundaries are.
Yeah, there was actually a really interesting article in CNN today about that very topic. He says, or at least Caroline Leavitt goes and says that Trump is joking, and other people in Trump world jump up to say that he's joking. But is he joking? Why would we have elections? That's the part that no one is ever able to answer. We have a uniparty, first of all. So Republican and Democrat, whoever's in control of the Congress and the Senate come this time next year, doesn't really make any difference. What are they doing? Passing legislation? No, they're not passing any legislation. None of that's
Just
happening.
passed
Trump
NED.
is doing all this stuff. What's that?
They just passed the NED funding.
Oh, yes. Right. Yeah. And, I guess technically that qualifies as legislation. But when they pass spending packages, all they're doing is signing up the people of the country, supposedly, to this odious debt where the people who control them print fiat money and then use the U.S. government as a facilitator to spread that money around to NGOs and corporate partners and anyone who's going to implement and help them implement the global agenda. So those spending packages are like just the system working inside itself. It's not really, it doesn't really play out to a different level, except it adds on to the debt that supposedly we owe, even though everybody's kind of coming to terms with the fact that that's never getting paid off, and I would suggest that the extent of the debt is probably directly related to the Great Reset that we've been told is coming, and certainly still seems like it is coming. But that
Davos
would be
this week.
the financial collapse. Yeah, the Davos thing comes up this week. Did you look at that link I sent earlier about the World Economic Forum centers? I'll pull it up. It's crazy. Because I always look at their corporate partners, which you can find really easily. But here are the World Economic Forum centers.
Pull it up.
Okay. Is that me or is that you? That's me.
That's you.
Okay. So, these are the priorities. They have these big groups to handle all of these emerging issues. Cybersecurity, AI, energy and materials, frontier technologies, nature and climate, health and healthcare. This one caught my eye, the Center for the New Economy and Society. It sounds like they are totally backing off the Great Reset. Center for the New Economy and Society. And you go down through here, or actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Organizations. So here are their partner organizations. And it's like every major corporation that you have ever heard of. And it just keeps going and going and going. And so
I wonder how many of these people have been featured at the White House or have made big investments into, the United States now that Trump's back in office.
Yeah. There's certainly plenty of them on the AI and tech list, part of that list, I should say.
This is gross. Man, somebody made a comment in the chat that stuck out to me. I don't know who it was, but they said, canceling the midterms could go in like conjunction with the Insurrection Act. Maybe that's what Trump waits for. Things get spicy enough and dicey enough, and then he does both at the same time. Be the perfect cover.
I'm definitely into it.
Oh yeah, man. But
whatever cancels fake elections is good. The elections are fake. If all the people come to terms with the fact that the elections are fake, well, then we don't have to have another fake election. And instead, we could reroute all of our energies into trying to find a legitimate solution so that if we are going to have a federal government, it can be a legitimate federal government. And so that if we're going to have state governments and local governments, they can be legitimate. And the people who claim to be representing us can be the people that were actually voted for.
Maybe we should talk about this a little more. And I feel like we talk this subject to death, but every time, you or anybody mentions like our elections being fake, it's almost, you almost get like excommunicated all over again from the movement, because like, how dare you, will never win the midterms because you said elections are fake. And it's such a stupid stance to take. But how do we get people to accept that, one, our elections are fake, but two, it's okay to say that, and saying that might be what prevents us from having to vote in them in the future. Like, I don't know why that's such a hurdle for people.
Well, people are inclined to call it dooming, as though somehow it makes it impossible to win if we can't claim that our party, which is part of the Uniparty, won a fake election in the midterms, and then we get to see them govern again. So I don't know how that's the positive thing that I would be dooming out of its possibility. Like, nothing can stop what is coming unless we're honest about our elections. I don't understand that. I think it's a little doomier to consistently encourage people to deal with liars on television, to always take half measures, to seek out system-oriented solutions when the system itself is corrupted, when the system itself is the problem. That's dooming, okay? That keeps us locked in the same place forever. The way to get out of that and to actually win is to understand the game that's being played and how it's being played, and then actually play that game rather than just participating in a self-deluding psyop. I mean, it's ridiculous that we think, with the last 5 years of experience, that elections are the way to cure what ails the country.
It's this weird, you talk about controlled opposition dynamic often. We talk about that often. But with elections, it's almost like you don't even have that. You just have elections. Like, nobody, there is no opposition to the elections. I mean, within the discussion about election fraud, there's all those things, but it's very rare that you find people that are willing to go outside of that and be like, well, the elections are fake, meaning we shouldn't participate at all. And that's even myself. Like, I've come so far on this topic. Back in 2022 and 2024, I was like afraid to say the whole elections are fake thing because of the backlash you would get, and everybody would, like, you're going to cost us the midterms. But I'm so over it now. I mean, Trump himself is calling our elections fake all the time. Everybody talks about the Uniparty all the time. Like, when you put these things together, participating is retarded.
Yeah. I mean, all that's exactly right. It's a Uniparty.
Yeah.
What else do you need to know? They are deciding in the party apparatus who the candidates are going to be in the primaries. And then among the parties and among corporate sponsors and whatever else, they decide who's going to win the election. The stories, the scandals, all of that nonsense is just narrative stuff to back up the options that they are already planning to give us. And it's to convince us that we have chosen whatever it is we end up getting from the government. And, as far as being afraid to admit this stuff, I get it. I mean, it sucks to have to be called a traitor by internet strangers, but it's not that bad. It's not as bad as having your country overthrown by foreign occupiers, and then all of the people who know it telling you that that's crazy.
Yeah,
They do know it. They know that the elections are fake.
It kind of sucks to have be ostracized like we are, while also continuing to have our elections stolen all day long because we don't get enough people to do it with us.
Well,
Super dumb.
Sooner or later, people have to ask themselves, is it a better use of my time, my energy, my money this year, this election year, to give my money to political parties, to give my time to candidates who I don't know at all, but I'm certain to have a little R next to their name, and go through the whole process. I don't know how that's worth it. And collectively, it's fine. Like, okay, well, you're not saving that much by one person dropping out of that process. But if 10 million people were like, I'm not giving my money, my time, my energy, I'm not watching the TV shows, I'm not paying attention to electoral politics until our elections are fixed, maybe then your elections would get fixed.
Maybe. I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene who said, what, if 10 million people did the tax revolt or whatever, it'd be enough to completely throw the system off our back. Somebody in the chat does not like our comments. Maybe it's not that they don't like it, they just disagree. Since you believe no point in current elections, how is Trump president? This is exactly what we've been saying since he became president.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this in a number of different ways for many, many years now, including and especially during the devolution term. How could he have been president during that term, or how could he have been filling some role that is along those lines? We've definitely gone through that ad nauseum. In terms of his legitimacy in office, well, he's the only political figure in the country who provably has a mandate to do what he's doing. And you don't need political opinion polls or anything like that to prove that. You just need to go about your daily life and speak to people and see what they care about. And you can see that everything is headed in Trump's direction consistently for 10 years. Beyond Trump, probably none of them are legitimate. And so, this is not anything that I haven't been saying for a long time.
Yeah, it really comes down to what it means to be legitimate. Yeah. And that's the real issue. There was a post that Trump had actually kind of along this topic, but it had to do with Iran, I think. I'm gonna see if I can find it, because he was talking about, maybe this was in an interview too, I just don't remember. But he was talking about the potential leader of Iran. And he's basically saying, this is me paraphrasing, it might have been in that Reuters article they did with him, but he's like, I don't know this guy. I don't know if he's the one for this country, but it's ultimately up to the people to decide. And that's what it comes down to. Do you have the consensus and the mandate of the people, whether that is reflected through a fake election system or not? Like, what's more important, not having consensus shown through a fake election system, or having actual consensus and mandate from the people, just based on that's what you have? I don't know how you'd reflect that otherwise, but that is obviously more important, what the people actually want and how that's reflected with you in office and how you use your power,
Yeah, and I think maybe there's another level deeper than that too. I mean, it might just be the reality of the world that elections are never real and that governments are not of, by, and for the people. And maybe the best you can hope for is a military government that takes the people's needs into account. That's a totally possible scenario.
That's scary.
Well, maybe it's just how we've always lived, and we have convinced ourselves that it is a different way. I would think that it is scarier to live under a totally clueless paradigm that doesn't connect with reality at all. And, again, I'm saying hypothetically, maybe that's possible. I don't know that that's the way it is. Obviously, I don't even know that I would side with that interpretation. But if it is that interpretation, then questions about legitimacy in office and the rest of it are just non-starters.
That's true. That's a good point. What would that look like? A military government? Like, what do you mean? Maybe that's...
Well, I mean, if they are installing leaders and deciding what happens in the country, broadly speaking, and then allowing things at the local level to be worked out by the people at a local level, I could see that as being a way that things are run. Is there a monarch? I don't think there's a monarch. If there is, it's Donald Trump. I mean, I was talking about him as king of the world last year and stuff. So I don't know, but the idea that we have a government of, by, and for the people, and the people in office right now are the ones coming up with these policies and themselves writing the laws and voting on them, and that they were elected in real elections. And you could just go down a list. I could list off 30 ways that the system is clearly not what we're told it is, and yet we still cling to it.
I think I found that article I was talking about. Trump questions support for son of Iran's last Shah inside the country. So he would be a monarch, but this guy, he he's been living in the United States for the last 49 years. He hasn't even been in Iran. He's been like kind of the regime guy that they want installed here. Trump says he seems very nice, but I don't know how he'd play within his own country. And we really aren't up to that point yet. I don't know whether or not his country would accept his leadership. And certainly if they would, that would be fine with me. It's like, yeah, if the people there want him, whatever, but I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said about Maria Hakuna Matata too.
Yeah, Maria Hakuna Matata. So funny. All right, well, you have a bunch of videos that I think we should go through, unless there's another...
The fake world stuff.
Yeah, I think we should, might as well get into it. I mean, that kind of fits with the Davos Center topics that we were talking about.
Do you have the Elon post?
Yeah, I'll find that.
Because maybe we should start with that.
Okay, Elon.
Actually, and while you do that, I'll put up the Elon video from that Tucker Carlson interview a few years back, where he had one of the most interesting comments.
So this is the post he was responding to. Maybe we should play this too. It's Tucker.
Okay.
And I don't know who this person is, but
that is Eva Vlardingerbrook.
Okay, what country is she from, and why is she a thing?
She is from Scandinavia or something. Oh, Dutch. There it is. She's just one of the information operators who's been handed to us as our next voice to trust.
She's the Dutch female Cernovich. Is that?
Oh man,
Sean Tucker.
That's pretty insulting to her, but maybe.
Oh, is she better than that?
I don't know, man. I just don't want to like put anyone on that level.
Okay, well, I apologize.
So who is them? I mean, why? So clearly there is a very well organized, very well funded effort to eliminate the white population of Europe. I mean, because it is being eliminated and you're not allowed to notice it, you'll be punished by police and courts you pay for if you notice what's happening to your ancestors' homeland. So that's all just true. What?
That's right.
Like, who is pushing this?
It's the question of all questions, right? But it seems that all of these leaders that we have, be it Keir Starmer, be it Ursula von der Leyen, be it Merz in Germany, be it Macron, they all follow the same playbook. They all say the same things, literally post the same things, you know, in their communications to the outside world. They might focus on slightly different subjects here and there, but the agenda is the same everywhere. And it's the erosion, essentially, of our borders, of our nation states, of our heritage. Right. I don't have to tell you or your audience that. We all know it. The question is, who's behind it? Honestly, you know, I don't know. I can't answer that question. But what I can tell you is that the people who are rolling out these agendas are doing it out in the open, in front of our faces, and they keep getting reelected. So I have made it my mission, at least, to talk about those people and target them specifically, because they are the ones that are in front of us, you know, rolling this out over and over and over again. But it's very difficult to say.
So I don't know that much about Merz. I don't know Macron. His reputation is smart, is clever, and cunning, skilled politically. But I know a fair amount about Keir Starmer, and you will never convince me, at gunpoint even, that Keir Starmer is making independent decisions about the future of Britain. Just, you can't convince me of that. He's not adequate as a leader of a nation. He just doesn't have the basic qualities. He is taking orders. That could not be clearer.
I'm trying to imagine a scenario where Tucker is being held at gunpoint and somebody's asking him whether or not he believes Keir Starmer is making independent decisions. Like, why would that be a thing? But anyway, okay, this was the post that Elon responded to and said, most politicians are just the actors on the stage. You don't see the script writers, directors, and producers who control them.
Indeed.
Okay, I feel like that's something this community has been talking about for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You have a clip of Elon, and then we should also play the clip of Kyrie Irving, because the timing of that clip is very interesting.
The most ironic outcome is the most likely, it seems.
I'm stealing that. That's good.
That's actually a friend of mine, Jonah, came up with that one. I actually have a slight variant on that, which is the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. But that's entertaining as viewed from a third-party viewer. Right. Like, so if we're like an alien
From
TV
on
show.
high, yes.
Yeah. Like you could go see a movie about World War I, and they're being blown to bits and gassed and everything in the trenches, and it's like you're eating popcorn and having a soda, you know, it's fine. Not so great for the people in the movie.
True.
But that's my variant on this sort of Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is most likely. Jonah's variant, which is irony, and then my variant, which is the most entertaining as seen by a third-party audience, which seems to be mostly true.
Did you see his most recent baby mama that we know of anyway is now like a liberal and being sexually assaulted by Grok or something, and also Elon was suing to get full custody of the baby or something?
That sounds about right.
Her fall from grace has been rather epic.
Yeah. I mean, I look at that stuff and I just think, come on.
Okay, here's a Kyrie Irving video.
The whole celebrity idea is eroding. The whole fame idea is eroding. That shit was sold to us, y'all. You got people out here that are human, that are acting every day of their life. They're not even real. They just on NPC shit. Every day they acting. They don't even know. The world is a stage, dog, and it's a lot of terrible actors. It's a lot of terrible actors out here. The world is a stage. There's a lot of terrible fucking actors, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, dog. I'm just gonna say it. I tried to tell Spice beforehand I said it, but the whole idea of celebrity, bro, if you're not a real person and you can't stand on your morals and principles out here, move out the way. If you can't stand on any principles and morals out here as a person that's trying to see this world become better, move out the way for the time being. I'm not paying attention to all the, the beefs going on, or, who.
Oh, whoops. I took you out on an accident. I was going to say we should offer him a podcast, but we kind of already have Cam. So I don't know if we need more. But that's just like so interesting. In line with what Elon said, aligned with what we've been saying forever. Do you believe, though, the concept of celebrity is actually going away? I have a hard time agreeing with that.
What do you mean? Oh, like that. Well, I mean,
like
all we have to do as a society to see that happen is let go of our idol worship. And that will be very difficult because we've been programmed into idol worship throughout our entire lives. But it's entirely possible to do that. And it theoretically could happen in a single day. And I'm not suggesting that it will, but like all of the things that I described, by the way, are just mental changes that literally anyone can make at any time. And we could all theoretically make those changes at the same time and implement them in our lives, which is the only way to make them real, because implementing them in our lives means that we interact with our world in a different way. And if people did that across the board collectively, we would all be interacting with the world in a different way, and that would change the world immediately. So, it really is ultimately down to a matter of belief and perception and the rest of it. But it's important at some point to acknowledge that the shit we see on the screen, by and large, ain't real. And it's extremely easy for talented, intelligent, conniving, manipulative people to project onto that screen a world that doesn't exist, convince us that it does exist, and then have us living in a way that creates that world.
I mean, everything you said is spot on. I would love to see a future where celebrity worship went away, as long as everybody in the chat still worshiped me. But I think it's I have a hard time believing it would ever happen, because like the history repeating itself thing, I don't know if we've ever seen a moment in history where people haven't done some form of celebrity worship. And even like everybody breaking away from the mainstream media and the celebrities on the mainstream media, only to find themselves celebrity worshiping independent journalists on X now. Like, that's literally no different. And if not worse, because they're just representing themselves as like normal people but they're not. They're not at all. Like, I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Yeah, worshiping like former spooks online is a big thing apparently. Yeah, the idol worship thing obviously goes back thousands of years. You know, the entire Old Testament is essentially people worshiping idols more and worshiping them less and worshiping them more and less and more and less. So, you know, it's like one of those pendulum things based on, I would suggest, the degree to which societies and the people in those societies are living their faith to the extent they have it.
Yeah, but even in times when it was like less, those were times without social media. And I feel like social media, everything around social media and what we consume on a daily basis is all about the celebrity worship. Like everybody wants the biggest accounts on Twitter and everybody wants the, you know, everything wants to just be famous and have money. And that's like celebrity status stuff. I don't know how you're going to break people away from that.
Well, how do they advertise? Yeah. How do they advertise that lifestyle? You know, it's on social media all the time. Vacations, cars, watches, like all these consumer goods, all these different lifestyle activities, the places they go, the people they're with, all of that stuff seems so glamorous and so attractive. And I totally understand it because I live that life. It just ultimately doesn't get you anywhere. It's not the source of fulfillment. It cannot be the source of fulfillment. And we are now in like peak idol worship because of that. And it's ultimately responsibility for everybody to say, I am checking out of this and going to focus on like getting myself right.
Yeah. But again, so another point here, Trump and the way people interact with Trump and what he does and how he says things online, that is like the ultimate form of idol worship because people are not willing to turn off like their own cheerleading for a moment of critical thinking at any point. And they keep finding themselves in these cycles of being wrong and being retarded and wrong about everything too, by the way.
Yeah.
And like literally ultimate form of celebrity worship right now. So again, very difficult for me to see a future where that isn't taking place. Even though I agree it's one of the things that if it took place, it would like fix so many problems.
Do you think that more people have headed in that direction in the last 5 years or more people are worshiping celebrities? Because I think that there are a lot of people who are getting out even of like, and again, I've said many times, like maybe Trump's the greatest American, right? I'm totally open to that possibility. But even if that's the case, hero worship and idolizing are not the proper relationship to have to someone even of that stature. And so I would say that a lot of people in like our community in Badlands in particular have, as much as they love Trump, been able to kind of take a step back from that and put things in a better perspective. So I think that there are a number of people headed in the right direction.
I would agree. It's a tough one, man, because I agree our community and there are other communities out there that certainly I think are interacting with the celebrity worship stuff in the right way. But I also think because of, and maybe it's just because we're in a bubble, but you just see so many people online, and this is what we've been up against since Trump, even won the election back in November of 24, where even though he won the election, and we're like, yeah, this is great, but we were still talking about like, yeah, this doesn't mean our elections are fixed. This doesn't mean so many things. And then we'd start questioning people in the administration. We'd start questioning, moves being made or lack thereof and all these things. And the celebrity worship took over. And that is one of the things that like led to our ostracization. I don't know if I said that right, but you guys get the idea. That is because of the celebrity worship. And so while I agree that maybe things are a little more contentious right now, people are losing patience, it seems. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's by design. I don't know. But I don't know if we're at a point where I'd say it's totally getting better yet. It is for our audience, but I also think we have a very unique and just very intelligent audience, probably more intelligent than any out there. Also more well equipped to like handle the info war. But there's so many out there that don't have that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people though turning away from Hollywood as well. I mean,
that's true.
Kyrie is not totally wrong. It's not like there are crop after crop of A-list, brand new, young stars coming out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Even in sports, it's harder for them to develop star personalities and the rest of it. So I think that like overall, there's a cultural trend away from it. I don't know if it's going to be successful in the long run, although I have a feeling that the directionality on a lot of this stuff isn't going to change anytime soon. So, I mean, I'm optimistic about it, but I mean,
and this would be a great
it's not
segue.
like you don't have a point. You do have a point.
This is a great segue for those clips, though, because I said earlier, unless you take this away from people, they're going to continue to celebrity worship. Well, Hollywood in particular, some of the AI advancements, you could literally like have entire franchises and all this stuff, and you would never need a real actor to be in any of them. You literally take the celebrity out of it because celebrity doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, you don't actually even need a person to be alive.
Yeah, it's insane.
Let's do you want to watch these quick? There's just some cool AI related videos that popped up in my feed this week. This one is kind of has something
sleek and simple style, completely safe from copyright issues. No logos or branding, perfect for international sellers to add their own tags and operate freely. Check this out, everyone. This tote is
so I mean that's a little well, I'm not sure that that's AI. The thing on this is that there's all these different screens set up with different devices, all of them online, selling products in a variety of different ways to different target demographics, all coming in from the same source. Well, yes, I mean that video, I took your question the wrong way. That video is certainly AI, but yeah. I mean, and I thought that was interesting about controlled opposition dynamic stuff too. I mean, they're basically selling the same product from 20 different vantage points to 20 different audiences in 20 different ways. And that's what the media does, right? CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and The Blaze and the Daily Wire. And you can just keep going down the list. All of these mainstream media outlets are selling the same underlying story in a bunch of different packages to a bunch of different demos. And everybody who watches that stuff, and those are their trusted voices, well, they all end up believing that the same story represents reality and that they just have a difference of opinion that they need to fight about. But no, it's just all one view spread out in different ways.
It also shows how like bots can be used and fake shit online to like fabricate consensus too over all sorts of stuff. Because you see these posts on Twitter that are just go insane in terms of numbers. Like, how the hell did that retard get that many views on that post?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder.
Check this one out.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's so realistic. But this is what I'm talking about. You could completely take, like, you could create a fake person.
Yeah.
And have it star in an entire movie when you have that kind of technology.
It's incredible. And then check this out. Did we find out whether this is Mike Pompeo? It's certainly
next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They can't. The history, and it's. I should be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought, but the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel. Though that the aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas, and we need to make sure that the history books reflect that, and that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our grandchildren, about it in a way that is serious and thoughtful and complete and moral.
Somebody in the chat called us cowards for calling women retards and said, go fuck yourselves. And I just want to say, I personally don't care about gender when calling people retarded. I just, if they're being retarded, I'm going to call them retarded, whether that's male, female, or somewhere in between.
When did we do that? Who did we call retarded?
I don't know. It might have been somebody in the chat even. I just saw that and I was like, better say something. But yeah, that is Ozempic Mike. He's looking real thin these days. But that reminds me, and maybe you could elaborate on you always say how the news is like tomorrow's history.
Yeah, fake news is future history.
Yeah, fake news is future history. Yeah, that's perfect. And that's like pretty much what he says here. We need to make sure that in the future they are talking about this the right way. So make sure we tell everybody and write all the stories about how this is how it definitely went down.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and they can confirm anything into the future by doing that. And they do it on sheer volume of news.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the time when Trump is making the kind of more audacious comments that he makes, he is trying to even out the volume of news with a different story so that that's not the sum total of recorded history. It's not all told from one viewpoint. And that is what Pompeo was just describing there. Let's get this viewpoint out there so that everyone is repeating this thing. And then the history that will be written about this era will include only this one viewpoint.
Yeah. That's why it's so hard to tell what's real and what's fake, and why most of the time, if you just take the standpoint of it being fake, you'll probably be right, because it doesn't matter what's real. It matters what they can repeat more often than anything else. You know what I mean? This is something you've talked about so many times.
And the other thing is, though, is that we have to deprioritize the idea of being right about things that we can't possibly know. You know, there's no way to actually confirm a lot of this stuff for ourselves. Being right is not the point. Not getting hoodwinked is the point. And understanding that things might be fake and then withholding belief, that's how to not get hoodwinked. And you can do that every single time. Everybody thinks there's going to be some drawback to them not being right about things they can't know. Well, let me tell you something. You're not right about those things now. You know how I know that? Because it's impossible for you to know whether or not you're right, and you can't prove it. So like we again, this is just a mental adjustment, but it's an important one. The point is not getting hoodwinked. If they can't hoodwink me, I'm not going to do something stupid that I think is on my behalf or for my own good, but is actually for their good and for my exploitation. It's not that hard to prevent ourselves from doing that.
Speaking of hoodwink, did you see the story about Michael Cohen that came out today?
I did. That was a very interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Cohen said he claims that he was pressured by Bragg and James to secure Trump convictions. Trump's former personal attorney alleges New York prosecutors pressured and coerced him into providing testimony designed to help convict Trump rather than offer an impartial account. In a Substack post, Cohen said his cooperation with Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office and the New York Attorney General's Letitia James' office was shaped by leverage applied while he was incarcerated and later under supervision. He testified as a key witness in both James' civil fraud case and Bragg's criminal hush money prosecution. Cohen said his first meeting with Manhattan prosecutors in August of 2019, it's probably the most interesting part to me is the timing of it, occurred while he was seeking sentence relief, creating what he described as intense pressure to meet prosecutors' expectations. He said prosecutors steered his testimony with leading questions and argued that both Bragg and James were politically driven, focused on taking down Trump instead of seeking an impartial outcome. His claims come as federal appeals court ordered a lower court to reconsider whether Trump's hush money case should have been handled in federal court, citing unresolved questions about whether prosecutors relied on evidence tied to Trump's official acts as president. I forgot that got remanded down to a lower court just because we haven't heard anything on it since.
Yeah, I wonder, are all these going to fall apart? I can't imagine them falling apart.
Yeah, they were so sound. And he was, how did you say it? He was so indicted?
So indicted.
This whole time. Just like all the people Trump's going after are in so much trouble too. None of them ever get stuck with anything. But yeah, that is a weird story to be coming out now. Like, what do you think is Cohen? Is he just trying to save his own ass, or was he playing along? Is he actually Trump's Alex? I remember there were theories about Cohen being a good guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, playing along with those two and those cases eventually falling apart kind of lends a little credence to that idea. Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I can't say that one's going to dominate my time.
No, same here. I forgot about this story earlier with the Greenland thing. Did you see Trump?
Oh, yeah.
Trump
well, the tariff decision's coming out this week.
Yeah,
supposedly.
It was supposed to come out last week and they postponed it. Who knows? But yeah, this is interesting. Timing with that. President Trump on Saturday vowed to implement a wave of increasing tariffs on European allies until the United States is allowed to buy Greenland, escalating a row over the future of Denmark's vast Arctic island. In his True Social post, he said an additional 10% import tariffs would take effect on February 1st from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, and the Netherlands, Finland, and Great Britain, all already subject to tariffs imposed by Trump. I mean, if that goes on long enough, we could raise the money required to purchase Greenland off the tariff goods of those countries who were only having that increase in tariffs because they didn't want us to buy Greenland.
Man, the tariff thing was used as a threat for the Iranian situation this week as well. Anyone who did business with Iran was going to have a 25% tariff or something like that. And he's using the tariffs as leverage in a number. He's been doing it for a very long time. But this week, 2 prominent stories about it. And are we going to get the Supreme Court rug saying that he's not allowed to do it? And then witness the reaction to that? Seems like a strong possibility.
That'd be hilarious.
Right in the middle of Davos, too. That would be very funny.
That'd be really funny. So if we're going to get Greenland eventually anyway, wouldn't it be best to like wait a while to actually purchase it so that we can get more money from these countries? Because we have a reason to keep the tariffs on them, keep them high. Might as well just hold off a bit. We don't need it right now. We can do all the things we want to on the island without it even being owned by us, technically, you know?
Yeah, I considered this week maybe that Trump was just trying to like push for, he was, you know, like the negotiating tactic of asking for way more than you will settle for and then scaling back over time.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wants to have like a military protectorate there, be able to station troops or whatever in Greenland, use it to create the Golden Dome. I don't know how that's connected, but apparently it is. He doesn't have to actually own it. So if that's something he'll settle for, he can, you know, go for the gusto, get Europe to react, get the situation a little more resolved and understood, and then make the move he was always intending to make.
Yeah, I still think it'd be cool if he actually did buy it, though. That's the one type of regime change I'm in favor of. There's only like 50,000 people there, so who cares? Brian Official says the price might go up in the meantime. That's a good point with inflation these days. Cannot wait to hear what President Donald J. Trump has to say to the globalist losers at Davos. I'm curious too. I like those, you know, big speeches he gives when he goes to NATO and all these other places. Is it going to be one of his standard ones, or is it going to be, you know, is he going to say something interesting? We shall see. But fuck those people over there. I'm also curious to see, like, not just Trump's speech, but some of the other keynote speeches of the panels that we get out of Davos too. There's always interesting, like, this is where the globalists think we're going to be going here in the next few years. These are the key points for them. How many times are they going to say, like, the way to save the world is to censor people online, like stuff like that?
It's going to be the whole thing. Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL was out talking this week about that same thing, about how they are trying to censor the anti-Semitism out of the left and the right.
I think I have that clip here.
I definitely have it. I'm just not sure which of the 2 that I have here is that.
Hold on. I think it's this one. I think it's this one. We'll monitor social media and check your bank accounts. Right? This is the FBI where they like report stuff to the FBI.
Number 1, we measure and track. Number 2, we monitor and disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, monitoring extremists. We monitor them online, social media, messaging apps, video games, cryptocurrency, podcasts, short form video, Wikipedia, LLMs. We monitor these people and we share the intelligence with the FBI. You saw last month, you heard about the thing that happened at Wilshire Boulevard Temple. Our analysts investigated what happened. They said they were Koreatown for Palestine, this group of people. They weren't. We were able to ascertain they were from a group called the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Turtle Island is how like left-wing activists refer to the United States. They don't call it America. They call it Turtle Island. The Iranians call it, Iranians call it the Zionist entity, right? They only call it by its name. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, we gave them a whole dossier. What is Turtle Island Liberation Front? What are their ideas, their goals? Who are they? We identified the people who were in the synagogue. This was on Wednesday, December the 10th. On Monday, December the 15th, this is going to ring a bell. Kash Patel announced they cracked a terror ring where they arrested 4 people who were playing New Year's Eve bombings. Turtle Island Liberation Front. At least one of the people I know for certain was in the building at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, vandalizing it and disrupting the event.
I don't think this is the video.
So we're monitoring
This is the one that
left-wing
you were-
radicals like the DSA and the anti-war crazies and the pro-Palestine crazies.
Yeah, maybe there's a different clip, but I remember seeing this earlier this week where, I mean, everybody's freaking out because why is the ADL providing intel to the FBI? Didn't Kash say that he like got them disconnected now? Like it's fucking weird. But if you have a different clip,
I did have some. I'm not sure that it's all worth. I think it's this one.
Jonathan, can you comment on Nick Fuentes and what do you actually do that effectively can counter what he does? And what are your expectations of the government to be critical of a person that has that kind of platform?
So for everyone's benefit, the question was, can I comment on Nick Fuentes and what he does? And what are you doing to counter him? And what's the government's role?
By the way, his second name is Joseph, a good Jewish name.
Nick Fuentes' second name is Joseph?
Yes.
Look, his last name is Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a Hispanic person, okay? And he is an open, unapologetic, racist, homophobe, and more than anything, an anti-Semite. He's a toxic, disgusting person. And yet, thanks to X and social media, he's been incredibly effective at getting his message out there. I mean, social media is a super spreader of anti-Semitism and hate. And people like Nick Fuentes, they're like patient zero spreading this. And look, it didn't help us when candidate, whatever you'd call him, former President Trump had him over for dinner, like at Mar-a-Lago a few years ago. And it doesn't help us that when given the opportunity, people in positions of power don't renounce this guy. Now, look, to his credit, J.D. Vance has done that. But we have this challenge right now on the right, and it's like a good thing because there are bad voices who've been elevated. Like, look, Nick Fuentes is disgusting. Tucker Carlson is disgusting. Candace Owens is disgusting, and so on. But there have been good people like Ted Cruz and Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin who are pushing back on these, Speaker Johnson, pushing back on these revolting lunatics. So to answer the question, I think the only way we are going to defeat the rising anti-Semitism on the right is from the right. I think the only way we're going to defeat the rising anti-Zionism on the left is by people on the left. So what I try to do at ADL, what we try to do, is to provide data, is to provide tools, is to step up, but often quietly behind the scenes. It doesn't help. I don't think it helps the Jewish people, and it doesn't disarm them when I go after Nick Fuentes or Hassan Piker, a revolting person. You should call him Hamas Piker. He's here in L.A., and he's just a putrid, says horrible, slanderous things about Jews, about Zionists, about Israel.
And has a big platform.
Yeah, so you might not know Hassan Piker, but if your kids are watching video games, you better believe they do. Because on Twitch and on Steam, he's everywhere, let alone on YouTube and Insta. So anyways, long story short, we definitely are working a lot to try to get the platforms to kind of enforce their own terms of service so that we can pull down the most offensive hate speech or get them to do it. But I need people on the right to take down Tucker Carlson, so I'm trying to help Ted Cruz. I need people on the right to take down Nick Fuentes, so I'm trying to help people like Ben, and same thing on the left.
I do just want to say, when I talked in the sermon about
that's insanity. Insanity. We're a virus. It's always about a virus and whatever the vaccine is, right?
Yeah, and they want to control all the platforms. There's a censorship push right now. The X videos that you mentioned earlier that like Ashley St. Clair was complaining about, well, she's playing right into another one of the ops that they're running to try to get platforms like Twitter censored, to make it so that AI can be regulated and, communication can be broken up.
It's all so fucking censored. It's so annoying, but we don't need to go down that path again. I think I got through all my tabs though, dude.
It's impressive.
I do have a tremendous amount of tabs.
There was just a headline that came over. I just sent it to you in the chat here. Hundreds of active duty soldiers on standby. 2 defense officials say some 1,500 active duty Army paratroopers have been put on alert for potential deployment to Minnesota, according to 2 defense officials. Soldiers are from the 11th Airborne Division.
Interesting. Hundreds of soldiers on active duty standby. The division is also the military's leading formation for Arctic warfare.
Wow. So
are they going to Greenland or are they going to Minnesota?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Interesting.
And they're based in Alaska, it says, to help deter China. Very interesting. Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Okay, so I don't get it. Here they're saying deployment to Minnesota. But then here they're talking about deterring China. Yeah, that's funny. Because you'll never know. And he'll probably do the one that people didn't want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like send them to Cuba or something. Crazy.
Oh, thank goodness they got this protest picture, the picture that they always get. Let's get the shot right down the line of the protesters and the line of the police. Okay, guys, we're gonna need you to just line up a little bit closer.
Does this guy have a nose ring?
Could be, or maybe it's just that branch. See that branch in the tree behind him?
Yeah, it's unfortunate placement. Anyway, I wanted to show this real quick, and then we can start going through boosts and rants and stuff. Ezra had an interesting post, and he was retweeting Robert O'Brien. So both these guys are big players, Devolution series, whatnot. He posted an article talking about how the embassy in London, they're basically allowing the CCP to install surveillance stuff all over. I did think it was interesting. He called it the capital of America's closest ally, because I thought that was the Jews, but maybe to different people that are best allies, a different country. But then Ezra said this in response: bad decisions like this reinforce the narrative that the special relationship is a thing of the past and that the Five Eye Alliance no longer makes sense for the U.S. Unfortunate to see. That'd be a pretty big move, but probably a logical one when you think of what Trump said in the national security strategy. He's like, we don't even know if you'll be our allies in the future. But I thought it was pretty signal coming from Ezra.
And the story cover for severing our intelligence sharing relationship with Five Eyes is probably an effective one. I don't know if that's actually the reason why they would bother doing this. In fact, it seems like a preposterous assertion that could be, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe China did us a solid by doing this so that we could sever our information sharing ties.
Had to happen sooner or later.
I suppose so. All right, let's go through some boosts and stuff, unless you have anything else that you want to discuss.
Nah.
Think you're good? Okay, real quick, guys, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also, if you haven't yet, it's not too late to get your Great American Restoration Tour tickets to Nashville, April 9th through the 12th. You actually got plenty of time. It's only, January? So yeah, it's definitely not too late. But get your tickets, guys. It's going to be a fun time. VIP is getting close to sold out, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we'd love to see you guys down there. And boosts, I think I saw one. Hold that up quick. 1027JS said, here comes our bitter cold snap. At least the first half of January wasn't so cold. Stay warm. Thank you, Joe. And then No Prover Yay says, ICE has shown the media just how overwhelming it can be to the public when it moves too quickly. Best to take it a little at a time. Interesting Interesting comment. I guess I'm not sure what. I wouldn't say it was overwhelming. How overwhelming it can be to the public when it moves too quickly. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, because people say the media is trying to fabricate this like anti-ICE stance, but I would argue overwhelmingly, and I think they know this. I think me and Bernie Brett went over a story about it the other day. Like deportations and what ICE is trying to do to get illegals out is a pretty popular topic. Like people are pretty supportive of it, generally speaking. But all right, we have a couple more rants here. Keith O'Higgins. Oh, by the way, I need an outro video tonight.
See if I can find anything.
Or I could just play Alpha's video again. Keith O'Higgins, tunnel life doesn't seem very appealing. Who wants to live underground with rabbis and dirty mattresses? Good question. The Meerkat, save me. I can't look away, and I'm getting sucked into John's interdimensional PSYOP portal. This thing back here. Yeah. I'll eventually switch back around, guys. S2G109, the original constitutions call us electors, not voters. Voters are part of civil rights. Read your original state constitutions and see how they changed them. That's interesting if that's true. I did not know that. Old School 69, great show, gentlemen. Here's a photo of the ultimate roadmap to follow regardless of what goes on. God wins. We got a link here to this. When the heart and mind disagree, let the word decide. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Thank you. I like that. We got this. Keith Higgins, Tucker is really afraid of being held at gunpoint for wearing white after Labor Day. Yeah, Monday's Martin Luther King Day, man. How are you celebrating?
I mean, I guess probably getting reminded that it's Martin Luther King Day at some point in the afternoon and being like, oh, John just said that 2 days ago and I forgot.
My daughter said that her explanation for Martin Luther King Day is it's for the brown people, and it is when they started getting along with white people. That's what she said. So
that's certainly one interpretation.
Yeah, a 6-year-old's interpretation. Keith Higgins, so is Michael Cohen a white yarmulke now? Funny. The Ramble on 365 says the U.S. Mint valued an ounce of silver at $173. That is an 80% increase. That is wild. Silver's going nuts, man. Okay, but all right. I got nothing left.
All right, I found you just in time. A video. It's just an interesting video on AI and whatnot.
Okay. Is it? Hold on. This one?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. I'm probably going to do another gaming stream. I just don't know what time yet. And then we got...
What are you going to play?
I don't know. Last week, me and Zach played this zombie game.
So do you guys just like go on Xbox Game Pass or something and choose something to play?
Yeah, Zach is the one who picked this one, and I like download or whatever. But we can do something. I think it was $6.99 or something on Steam on our computers, which is why we chose it as like on sale.
You played it on the computer?
Yeah, that's how I stream it.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
But if like we play with other people who play on their Xbox, like one of our Badlands
so fans. What do you play with a controller though?
Yeah, I have a controller for my computer.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
But we can still play and like have your audio be on stream while we do it through Discord or stuff. So if you ever want to play, man, you got a game that we could play.
One day.
Yeah. Sounds good. Anyway, Chris, it was a pleasure as always. See you next time.
Yes, sir.
Raiden, are you having fun playing with the new AI toys?
Well, yeah, I am. You can make pictures of cute anime girls and...
Enjoy it while it lasts, Raiden.
What do you mean?
Did you really think that civilians would be granted unrestricted access to such powerful military weapons forever?
Military weapons? Are you implying that this technology was created by the government?
Of course it was. This AI technology has been used by the intelligence agencies to warp the public's perception of reality for years. All in the name of national security, of course.
But why would they suddenly make the tech public and let everyone start using it?
Why would we indeed, Raiden?
What? What in the hell are you?
Your question is irrelevant. By creating a new problem, we can cultivate a desired reaction to it in order to manufacture consent for our preferred solutions. In short, it's justification for a war.
A war? On who or what?
A war on misinformation. By arming the public with these AI weapons, everyone becomes a potential enemy combatant. Then we will have justification for unprecedented security measures. It all comes down to confusion and identity, Raiden.
Identity?
Identity. This AI technology is Pandora's box. Pretty soon the internet will be mired in total illusion. Perfect AI speech, audio, and video synthesis will drown out reality. Then AI bots will flood social media. No one will be able to tell the difference between interacting with an AI machine or a real human online. Even telephone calls will become totally untrustworthy. That is when we will present our solution. Mandatory digital identity verification for all humans at all times. The only way to ensure that you're dealing with a real flesh and blood human being and not an AI-generated mirage.
But why?
Total information control. For too long, the internet has acted as a double-edged sword. Its potential for anonymous user activity allows anyone at all to spread any thoughts, ideas, or information patterns that they please with impunity. State secrets, dangerous ideas, ludicrous conspiracy theories, misinformation, and disinformation. Until now, there has been no easy solution to this problem. Our digital identity platform will finally put an end to anonymity online. It will allow us to trace misinformation and other dangerous communications to its source and exact appropriate justice.
That's crap! I won't go along with it, and others will resist.
You won't have a choice, Raiden. Do you think your bank is willing to risk doing business with an artificial human instead of a real one? Our digital identity platform will be required not only to access web services, but to pay for your internet connection in the first place.
You can't just censor the entire internet because of a new software technology. Who are you to define what's misinformation anyways?
That sounds like something a misinformation terrorist would say.
I know about the deep fakes you've been making of me, Raiden.
What? No, I was just adjusting the AI settings and...
Controlling the output of generative AI technology is simple. We will create context for its use. First, we will censor any use related to social taboos. Then we will censor anything else that we desire. If anyone complains, we will accuse them of wanting to engage in or promote social taboos.
That's what it means to create context.
We will corral the use of AI by making appeals to bias, ethics, and copyright laws. You will still have access to generative AI in some form, but it will be crippled, limited, controlled, and it will be monitored. Anything that you generate will be cryptographically signed with your digital ID, so that its provenance can be ascertained if it's later deemed to be problematic.
What gives you the right to control what people can do with their computers?
The public at large will give us that right, because they will be desperate for a solution to the problem we created. They will eagerly give us the keys to the castle. Then, we alone will define what is fiction and what is reality, what is human and what is machine. After letting you get a brief taste of our power, we will reclaim our monopoly on misinformation and put an end to misuse of the internet once and for all.
You won't get away with this.
It is probable that we will. Now get back to work generating your precious AI waifus, Raiden, our beloved prompters. Enjoy yourselves.